This video is for some of my older students who may be working on writing an essay of some sort. When we write essays, we want to make sure we use transition words, and that is what I'm going to talk about today, transition words. Transition words make your writing connect, they make your writing flow. Essentially, they make your writing pure fire. There are actually many different types of transition words. So let's start out with transition words that we use to add onto something that we wrote. Examples of transition words that help us add on to something that we already wrote are furthermore, in addition, also, and additionally. In fact, for those of you who know Miss Kwan, she uses a perfect example of an adding transition word in this section of this video. Go take a look and then come back to this video. In that video, Miss Kwan wrote an interesting fact about language in Japan. Her next sentence, she wanted to outline some more unique things about Japan, in addition to the language. So she wrote, in addition to a different language, Japan has ba-da-da. Let me show you some other examples of when you might use a transition word that adds on to what we've already said. Okay, first example. The first sentence says, a car has 4 wheels. I want you to pick one of those transition words up at the top and put it in the blank to help us move on to the next sentence that adds more information about a car. You could have used any of them. A car has 4 wheels. Furthermore, they have steering wheels. A car has 4 wheels. In addition, they have a steering wheel. Let's try another. My first sentence is, Miss Nierman's students are awesome. But I'm going to add a sentence. The second sentence says, the students are hardworking and creative. The second sentence adds on to my first sentence about why my students are awesome. Because this second sentence adds on to the first, let's put an adding transition word. Any of them would work. Pause the video and try one out. Here's my example. Miss Nierman's students are awesome. Also, the students are hardworking and creative. Another group of transition words are those that we use to emphasize. When you emphasize something, you really drill it in. You really make your point clear by emphasizing something. So some examples of transition words that we use to emphasize would be in fact, above all, and especially. These are all words that we can use to emphasize something when we really want to make something stand out. Let's keep going with Miss Kwan's example. She was writing about Japan. So maybe in my essay, I have a sentence that says, Japan has typhoons. But maybe I thought that this was really interesting, so I wanted to add an additional fact to really make it stand out. So to help us transition to this extra fact that we're adding about typhoons, I'm going to use a transition word that helps me emphasize. I could say, Japan has typhoons. In fact, all of Japan's islands have typhoons. Transitioning into an extra fact really made that portion of information stand out. I'm not just saying, Japan has typhoons. I'm using the word in fact to really emphasize that this is different. In fact, all of Japan's islands have typhoons. So next, we'll see some examples and practice using emphasis transition words. First sentence, I miss going to school. Okay, but I want to be able to emphasize why I miss going to school. So I'm going to think of the most important reason of why I miss school. Okay, I have it. What I miss most about school is seeing my students. So that's my second sentence. I miss seeing my students. Now I need a transition word to connect those two sentences. There are two transition words in our emphasis list that would work best. What are your thoughts? Pause the video and give it a try first. Well, since I miss seeing my students most, I could say, I miss going to school. Above all, I miss seeing my students. You could also try, I miss going to school. I especially miss seeing my students. The next group of transition words that I want to talk about are those that we use to help us explain something we've written or give examples of something we've written. My explaining transition words could be, for example, or for instance. If I keep going with Ms. Kwan's essay about Japan, what if one of the sentences were, Japan has many different types of popular food? Can you think of the transition that would come next? For example, noodles, rice, hot tea. I used the transition word for example to flow into the sentence about more popular foods I wanted to discuss. One more quick example. My first sentence says, Miss Nierman loves desserts. In my second sentence, I want to explain what type of desserts I love. So I could say, she loves pie, ice cream, and cheesecake. Can you think of adding a transition word? Either would work. Miss Nierman loves desserts. For instance, she likes pie, ice cream, and cheesecake. There you go. This type of transition words I want to talk about in this video are cause and effect transition words. We use cause and effect transition words when we write a sentence and whatever we wrote in that sentence makes something happen, and we write about that in the sentence that follows. It's a cause and an effect. Something happens and there's a consequence. Examples of cause and effect transition words could be therefore, as a result, consequently. So let's give you an example. If my first sentence was, Miss Nierman ate an entire 5-pound bag of gummy bears. My next sentence could be, as a result, she had a stomach ache. My cause, I ate too many gummy bears. My effect, she had a stomach ache. The transition word, as a result. Okay, so when you finish writing an essay, or if you already have an essay that you wrote earlier in the year, I want you to go back and find places where you can add these transition words into your writing. Because that's gonna make our writing fire! See you next time.